Hey, I'm Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's Miss Bonita with Miss is M-I-S-S. Bonita has 3 I's, 4 A's. And I can link my TikTok because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I said I will be back with another video about grief. I'm also going to do a video on fasting. I'm going to do grief first just because it was something I actually really wanted to do. And, I just wanted to get some feedback to kind of allow some interaction between me and my audience so that y'all can feel involved and that I'm actually talking about things that y'all care about. But grief was on my heart because I felt like for Valentine's Day, that's what was really on my spirit. It wasn't even about relationships per se, like romantic relationships. It was just grieving, period. So I said that to say grief is a part of life that we can't escape. And there was really no blueprint given out for me with grief. And I feel like for most people, there wasn't one. So a lot of times we just navigate that difficult emotion and the waves that it comes with without a real, guide to how to navigate those feelings. Because when people can't come back, there is no band-aid for that. There's no one thing you can do to solve that emotion. It doesn't go away. You can learn how to process it better. You can find better coping mechanisms, but the actual grief of losing those people, missing them, does not go away. You know what I'm saying? So I really wanted to dig into that because I feel like I said, my channel is going to get deep. I want us to really be intimate with each other. I want us to be able to actually heal together. And that requires us having and talking about those difficult emotions. So I always say, pause the video if you need to pause, right? But if you need to think to yourself right now, are you grieving anything? Person, place, thing, job, situation, your old self? Because I almost wanted to do 3 parts to a grieving video because there's levels to grief. You don't just grieve people that pass. I feel like that's the initial thing that we think about. You grieve your old self sometimes. In these different phases and growth and development in life, we become different versions of ourselves. I realize now for me, a lot of times I miss the old me. It's so weird. I love who I am now and I worked hard to be this person, but there's things about my old self that I miss. And I saw something recently that said a lot of times in relationships, you think you miss the person, but you kind of miss the person you were in that relationship. So a lot of times we really got to dig deep into what we're feeling and why we're feeling it. I want to be a little organized and structured so we can follow along and get something from this. I don't have notes this time because this is also something I feel like was big on my heart, so I could just freely talk about it. So, if I get a little sidetracked, try to stay with me, but I promise this is from the heart, and I promise God laid this on my heart to talk about. I said that to say, grieving people. We're going to use that one first because I feel like that is the, initial thought that we have when we talk about grief. And, sorry guys, I'm checking my texts. Oh, my friend just got home. Sorry guys, because I suck at this. Oh my God, forgive me. Okay. If you stayed there, I appreciate you. I'm so sorry. No more interruptions. Okay. And I suck at editing. So guys, I try to record straight through. Just bear with me. Anyways, grieving people. In life, and grieving people specifically with death, because it's also levels to grieving people that are living. And I think I'll address that later. But with death, it's unexpected. You don't really know how long you have people here. And a lot of times we take that for granted, not intentionally, but just because most of the time the people that we lose, we've had them all the time. Grandmothers, parents, cousins, even friends. You never think that they're going to leave. And then when they do, it's such a harsh feeling. For me, I always say the people that I've lost over the years, I have a hard time accepting that they're not here on this plane with me. I'll be honest with that. It's not like I have a complicated experience with grief because, again, we go back to nursing all the time. They talk about different forms of grief, and complicated grief is when people actually have a non-acceptance of the grief in a sense. Their process of grieving isn't healthy. So it's not like I have a complicated, perception of grief, but my thing that I take solace in, I tell y'all all the time, I belch when I'm recording. It's so weird. Anyways, I like to think that the people that I lost are on an island that I just can't get to, but I know that they're here. And I don't know if that'll resonate with anyone, but that's something that I just have told myself for a long time. And it kind of just helps me cope with them not being here. But some days are harder than others, like birthdays for them, anniversaries of deaths, like certain holidays definitely are big triggers for me. And as I get older, I think I become more and more aware. Like, it's weird because they say grief gets better with time, but honestly, it's one of those things to me personally that gets harder with time. And the reason I say that is because, like, the more time I'm without those people that I've lost, the more life that I live, like the more experiences that I have. And I almost feel guilty if I feel like I'm enjoying life without them or like making memories, because like they're not here. And it's kind of like, damn, you're enjoying life with them not being here. And of course, the people that I love would have wanted me to continue my life and go on and live the best life that I can while I'm on this side of the plane. But, you have a survivor's guilt, if you will. Like, it's almost like I can't enjoy life if they're not here. Like, you kind of want them to know that I didn't forget about you. And those are a lot of feelings that we don't know what to do with. It's also a reason why I think that all of us could benefit from therapy. I feel like specifically in the Black community, a lot of times, we haven't been exposed to therapy. It's not something that's completely normalized for us. And I think our generation, and when I say our generation, I want to remind y'all, I make 28 in a couple weeks. So like that group of people, I feel like we're making a difference in our communities, our families, the breaking the generational curses about like depression, anxiety, all that stuff, because like we're actually seeking to help. We're trying to identify the patterns and we're trying to break them. And I commend us for that. But it's really hard to be those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, to actually say, okay, this is an issue and I want to make a change with that, especially when certain things have been going on for a long time. And with grief, there's just no set way to, deal with it. Like in nursing school, they taught us about different forms of grief, or at least different theories. And by different theories, I mean there's certain philosophers that have their stages of grief. Like some consider denial a part of one of the stages, anger, etc. And most people do experience all those emotions. You're sad that you lost that person. You're angry that it happened. You're in denial because it's hard for you to accept that they're not here. But, I really want us to be able to healthily navigate all the difficult emotions, because life does not stop. And loss is inevitable. And if we must go on and we must be happy, and that's the thing, I want us all to be happy. I'm not just looking for us to like share our experiences and just stop there. Like, I want us to be the best version of ourselves. I want us to seek happiness. I want us to seek peace. I want us to really dig into being the best version of ourselves. And that requires us to deal with the difficult emotions. If we try to fast forward through the difficult feelings, we also take away from our opportunity to feel the good feelings. Because if you spend all your time numb on autopilot, don't think that when that good thing happens, you'll all of a sudden be able to feel. That's not how this shit works. So we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be open. We have to be vulnerable. And I know it's hard, but we have to remember, like, if we can't be real with ourselves, who can we be real with? Like, we really got to get open and get honest and like dig deep. You know what I'm saying? And I've watched a lot of people over the years that I care about lose people. Like, and when I say lose people, like some people have lost grandmothers, people have lost parents. Sometimes you witness people lose people that you haven't lost yet. Meaning we're all someone's child. So most of the time you're going to lose a parent at some point. You know what I'm saying? You're going to lose a grandparent at some point. And I try to learn from the different people that I've seen go through different losses, because like they still had to go on. Like they still had to keep living this life. They still had to keep choosing to be committed to themselves, to be the best version of themselves, to not go off the cliff with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to go off the cliff. I think a lot of times we be wondering what happened to people. People talk about Britney Spears when she shaved her head years ago. I shave my head all the time. And I'm here to tell y'all, I completely understand why she shaved her head. Like sometimes you got to just escape all of this, those different feelings. I feel like hair holds on to energy. So every time I shave my head, I feel like I'm starting anew. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but stay with me. I really want us to be able to heal. And, you know, grieving is not a one-dimensional process. I hate when my lip gloss does that. It's not a one-dimensional process. Like, it's stages and phases, and some days are harder than others, and some days you wake up and you're okay, and other days you wake up and you're sad. You know what I'm saying? I feel like my Valentine's Day was really, really hard. I'm not even gonna lie. And again, it wasn't about any romantic relationship. It was about missing, like, someone that I lost, and like it being their birthday, and like it was really, really triggering for me. So like I brought Valentine's Day in crying, like eyes red, like tissue piled up in the bed. Like it was a whole thing. And, you know, I had to allow myself to feel those emotions, and it was tough, you know, because like I'm hard body. I ain't even gonna lie. I hate crying. Like it just don't sit right with me. And I know that's something that I have to work on, and I will work on allowing myself to feel those things, but it is hard for me. So, being in a position where I felt like I could not ignore how I was feeling, I had to allow myself to cry. I had to allow myself to be vulnerable. I had to allow myself to feel. I knew it was what I needed, and I'm glad in hindsight that I did it, but it was definitely a challenge while I was sitting in it. And that's the whole reason that I like even posted and asked people to vote about what they wanted to hear, because I actually wanted to talk about grief, but like I didn't know if anybody else wanted to hear about it. But I mean, I have to go with what God lays on my heart, and I felt like God wanted me to talk about it because somebody would resonate with how I was feeling and like the difficulties of that emotion. So like for me, I think a big thing for us is finding something that gives us solace with those people that we lost. And every person that you lost, you had a unique relationship with. So it's going to be different things that, excuse me again, works for you or makes you feel close to them or kind of gives you comfort. Journaling, period, helps me. Just writing out my feelings, how I feel, missing them, talking to them. I feel like talking to the people that I lost out loud helps me. And I think they have their own unique ways of kind of giving me comfort or letting me know that they're there, whether it's through music, whether it's through something that I read, whether it's even through touch. Like, I just know that they let me know that they're still here with me. But it doesn't change the fact that it's difficult. It doesn't change the fact that sometimes things are triggering, and like I have to sit with those difficult emotions and kind of try to navigate it in a healthy way without going too far in one direction, because everything's about balance, you know. But I really wanted to talk about that because I know that a lot of us are dealing with loss. You know, we lose people that we can't replace, and the pain of that, like, you lose people that have been here when you got here. Y'all know what I mean when I say that. Like the people that you lose that was already here when you got here, like you don't know life without them, and then you have to figure out life without them. And, you know, I also saw something recently where a woman was talking about her best friend who lost their dad. And she was like, she's trying to get back to herself. And the best friend told her, well, you can't get back to that self because that self had a dad. And that's really how we got to look at shit. It's hard, but it's like, you know, now it's a new normal. Just like how it is with COVID and stuff, like a new normal. Like you have to adjust to what life is now because this is the dynamic and the experience and the people that you have present now. And some of those people are not here anymore. And like, it's hard. It's hard. And, you know, I hate that sometimes we say time makes things better because realistically, it's not always that. Like for me, time has made grieving a little bit harder. Like I'm very self-aware. So the fact that I understand what I'm going through helps me. But also it's the double-edged sword because understanding what I'm going through and feeling it, that means I really feel it. If I thought I felt it in, I really feel it now. Like it's heavy, it's in my chest. It's, you know, it's deep. So like I always say, pause the video if you want to like journal, write something down. Think about if you're grieving anything, any person, anyone experience, you know, those things are not light. And try to ask God for what you need on your individual journey because we all gonna need different things, you know. Our experiences are different. Who we lost is different, you know. The depth of those relationships varies. So I feel like the best thing I'm going to always tell you is to go to God with how you feel, and God will lead you to exactly where and who you need to be with. I say that to say sometimes we grieve people that are still here. And it's not just people, it's spaces and places and experiences and things we used to do. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's going to lead into our fasting video, but I'm not going to put fasting with grieving. But I just want to say, sometimes there's people that are still here on this side of the plane, and we got to get rid of them for different reasons. Or they might have got rid of us for different reasons. You know what I'm saying? And like, you miss them. But we always got to remember, as long as you have breath in your body, you in sound mind and body, that's a blessing. So never harp on the fact that someone is no longer, talking to you, or you're not talking to them, or you lost them, or they broke up with you, or you're no longer friends. It's sad. And I want you to always be honest with yourself and be vulnerable enough to feel, but understand that you're blessed with life. You're blessed with life, and God gives you so many opportunities to build relationships with different people, meet new people. You become a different person yourself. And a lot of times we forget the fact that even though you may have met someone as one version of yourself, we're constantly evolving. Sometimes like things that fit with you and another person don't fit anymore. You guys have changed. And it's hard because you have the attachments that you have to people, but a lot of times things aren't meant to last forever. Everything usually has a season. We don't like to hear that. We don't like to accept that. We want to kind of stick to permanence. But honestly, most things are temporary. The only thing you can rely on in this life is consistent change. So, and a lot of times God got to clear house in a way that it's the people that we were not looking to lose. Like, I told somebody this season of life is looking like, yeah, them too. Like, I feel like that's how God's telling me. Like, oh yeah, you thought it was just them. These people too. And it's not people that I was looking to lose. It's not people that I was willing to accept just easily letting go of. But, like I've been saying since this year started, we have to submit to surrender. We have to accept that where we're on, like the path that we're on, we don't always know the answers. And if I'm consistently telling you guys to seek God's, leadership and guidance, then we also have to be receptive to what he's telling us. It can't just be us going to God and then choosing what we want to do because we're not ready to do what he's asking us to do. Because if you ask God and he told you, it's kind of foolish, not even kind of, it's very foolish of you to just choose your own path because that's what you're comfortable with. And a lot of times we got to get out of our comfort zone. This is the time to forget about what felt comfortable to you. Because a lot of times things are comfortable to you and it's not the best for you. You just don't know what it's like to go on that other side. There's a lot of things that we've had to do, and we had to take the chance of being uncomfortable until we got our fitting into it. But it doesn't mean that we're supposed to stay on the side of comfort just because it's familiar. Familiarity will be the death of some people. Theoretically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, realistically, we really, really, really got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's a part of growth. That's a part of accepting what grieving is, because it doesn't feel good. But we have to sit with how we feel. We have to sit with those difficult emotions, and we have to accept what we have to do going forward to deal with what's next. Whether you're grieving someone who can't come back to this plane, whether you're grieving someone that you may see on the street again, or you may run into their Instagram, or their parents, etc. People may ask you about them. They're starting new lives. People you dated are going to be in new relationships. It's hard, but again, there's nothing that God gives us that we cannot handle. The biggest thing I say when I deal with things that I don't know how to deal with, it's like a voice in my head be like, peace, be still. And what that means to me is just like pause. It's never that deep. It's never that serious. Things hurt. They sting. Dust your shoulder off. Get up. Get back in the field. Like, life is all about changes. You're going to experience all kind of different feelings. And that is the blessing and the curse of living and the human experience. But as long as you're grateful for being on this side, we got to experience loss sometimes. And spaces and places, like, sometimes you can't go back to where you used to hang out at. Sometimes you can't go back to where you used to work. There's different environments that become toxic to us, or just don't benefit us anymore, or just don't speak our language anymore. Like, sometimes you evolve into a person that you develop an aversion to the things that you were once accustomed to. And the biggest part is for us to seek God's guidance and see that we no longer resonate with those spaces, places, people, experiences, and cut ties and move on. You're strong enough to make it through anything. And like I said, as long as you're seeking God's guidance, he's going to tell you where to go, who to be with, what to do, how to do it. as long as you trust him and lean not to your own understanding, too many times are we trying to lean onto ourselves because somehow we think we have all the answers. We never did. Like, we literally never did. And I want us to get more comfortable with that truth and accept the fact that God is there. God is waiting on us to, like, seek his counsel. God is waiting on us to, dip into fellowship with him. And again, I want all us to seek that. I hope this resonated with somebody. Journal. Talk, like, if you have any questions for me, if you want me to get any more specific, if you want me to break down grieving into other steps or different videos, let me know. This is a community. I'm building this community. I promise we will have a community, and like, we will be able to connect and talk about different things, dig deep and heal together. That's really what I want. And again, this is not just something that I wanted to do. God has been pulling at my heartstrings to do this for a long time, to do YouTube, period, because he just lays things on my heart in a unique way, and he wants me to use my voice to connect to people. So again, like, comment, and subscribe. Check into my next video, and I will see you guys next time.